Welcome to another edition of Boxing from your host, The Islander. Some of you are probably shocked we're doing this 2 weeks in a row, but there's some information and some good news and things to look forward to. And now that I've got the latitude to go over 10 minutes and 59 seconds, we may as well get into it. All right, let's do a quick recap of what happened last week. Those of you who were unfortunate enough to buy the pay-per-view and throw your money away, got to see exactly what we thought we were going to see. But I just want to go back up a step to Friday Night Fights on ESPN2, which I assume that the Bailey-Urango fight was going to be the last one of the season. At least that's the way it was advertised. And here we go 3 weeks later with fine Cuban prospect Guillermo Rigondeaux whacking out Giovanni Andrade, who he dropped a couple of times, and of Brazil. And the thing is, what's really unique about this is that Andrade is the basically veteran of over 30 fights, and let me find out exactly how many fights they had. I should have been ready for this. Actually, what am I saying? Over 60 fights, closing on 70. Yeah, he's 51-12 now, so that's 63 fights, 41 knockouts, and Rigondeaux was fighting in his third fight. Vast amateur career, gold medals in 2000 and 2004. This guy looks like he's the real deal at 122, and it's going to be, that division is starting to heat up, and we'll talk a tiny bit more about that later. Fight not seen on TV in the U.S. was for the vacant IBF 160-pound title, with Arthur Abraham relinquished as opposed to fighting Giovanni Lorenzo. And this fight was staged in Germany between himself and Sebastian Sylvester, who had recently lost a fairly wide decision to, I don't know why my mind just goes blank when Felix Sturm, when I'm just trying to remember these things. Probably because I didn't even see basically see the fight live to watch it on the internet. But anyway, Sylvester lost to Sturm handily. In this fight, Lorenzo got off to a decent start, worked well in the middle rounds, I should say. A little bit of a slow start, but worked well in the middle rounds, and Sylvester closed the fight strong. Just let his hands go more. It was a split decision. It should have been a unanimous decision for Sylvester, and all the best to him. Lorenzo, this is 2 out of 3 fights now that he's laid an egg, basically. Against Raul Marquez, who had no business beating him at the different stages of their career. Lorenzo laid an egg too, and when all the chips were on the line. And that brings us to the pay-per-view card. I'm going to skip around by what I think are order of importance. Erislandy Lara, who we've seen several times, he's been on ESPN. In the junior middleweight division, scored another impressive one-punch left-hand knockout over Jose Barrella, but Barrella could have got up and didn't look like he wanted to get up in any event. And that was next of importance in my book anyway, was Michael Katsidis scoring a split 12-round decision over Vicente Escobedo. I don't know how anybody could have Escobedo winning this fight. It wasn't like it was a landslide, but Katsidis definitely was forcing the fight, coming forward, making the fight. And I think Escobedo's people, I don't know whether they were under the impression that Katsidis was an easier task than what it was, because it did not look like he was ready for Katsidis. The pressure and just the volume of punches that Katsidis was going to lay on him, which he did throughout the fight. Again, Katsidis did not leave this fight without bleeding, although it was from a headbutt. And now he's got that interim WBO belt, another one of these crazy interim things, because, well, actually they split. Well, no, it's Marquez. Marquez has the real belt, if I'm not mistaken. And supposedly the next fight in line would be a fight, theoretically, between Michael Katsidis and the champion Juan Manuel Marquez, if he decides to go back to 135. Then, well, not in that order though, but Chris John fought his awaited rematch with Rocky Juarez, and this time there was no doubt of who won. And there's a couple of things I want to point out about this, that John won this fight clearly, as I thought he did the first one, Juarez, as he showed up in his rematch for Barrera, I think was looking for just one punch, which he finally landed in the last minute of the fight. Had Chris John almost out on his feet, doing everything to hold on. And this is another reason why I've been a proponent for returning to 15-round fights. Because if this fight was a 15-round fight, if their first fight was a 15-round fight, Rocky Juarez would have stopped John in the next couple of rounds of that fight, in the 13th or 14th rounds. It's no crying over spilt milk. My point is that if 15-round fights still existed, Rocky Juarez would be a world champion by now. In any number of chances he's had the title, not against Marquez or Barrera, but you know, the thing is that he's had every opportunity in a different light to win a world title. Rocky Juarez has, and he suffers the same fate over and over and over again, where he just does not let his hands go. Now, understand there's a different pedigree here, where Chris John is definitely the better boxer and makes better use of the ring. But I think that, you know, for Juarez, I don't know what advice to give him, because he's not getting any younger. Remember, he was in the Olympics 9 years ago. He's been out of the Olympics for 9 years. I mean, you know, look, even people think that Jermaine Taylor might be on the downslide. I mean, same thing. But at least, you know, Jermaine Taylor made the most of his opportunities. That's all I'll say about that fight. I'm not surprised. I thought that John was going to win the fight anyway. Floyd Mayweather Jr. weighs in at 146 pounds. The contract calls for 144. So I'll pay the extra $300,000 per pound, the $600,000 penalty. No big deal. He's right, it wasn't a big deal. The fight shouldn't have been made. I mean, Marquez landed a pitifully low 69 punches, never got cracked double digits in any round. Mayweather did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He was going to control the distance, counter punch, throw one punch at a time if he needed to, beat Marquez to the punch, which he did, hurt Marquez, which he did in the second round when he hit him with that left hook uppercut punch and put him down. But, you know, what did this fight prove? What did this fight prove? That Mayweather can outbox a guy who really wasn't comfortable at in my opinion, at 135, making him move up into the 140s. I mean, what did this prove? And for all the talk that Mayweather, and then we get, you know, Mayweather won a unanimous decision. You know, people like going out on a limb saying, oh, he never lost a step, it's great, blah, blah, blah. You know, how can you really tell that when he's fighting this guy who's like considerably smaller? I mean, you know, Marquez is still one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. It's a fight he should not have taken, but it's neither here nor there. I mean, it's done. I'm real curious to what the pay-per-view numbers are. Oh. And if they're of any significance, it's because of Marquez. Just let's be clear. But you know, moving forward with this, you know, Mayweather's doing his post-fight interview, and he's approached by both Bernard Hopkins. He looks like he's about to defecate in his pants, crap his pants, and then Shane Mosley breaks in to officially announce that he's calling Mayweather out, because Mayweather will only fight guys that call him out, like Hatton and Marquez. So now Mosley has officially called Mayweather out, and there's all this hoopla about being disrespectful, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Look, here's what's disrespectful. Treating the public like we don't know anything. Going on ESPN with the Brian Kinney interview and saying you're not going to fight Shane Mosley because he's got 5 losses. Yet Marquez has 4 or 5 losses. Carlos Baldomir had 9 losses when he fought him. I mean, it's incredible the way somebody spins things in their head and try to, you know, you spin something, you know, enough times you believe it yourself. And I think that's what Mayweather's done. I mean, he believes that he doesn't have to fight any of the tough fights to maintain this lofty status as the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. I won't pay to see him fight unless he is in real danger of losing a fight. I just won't. And I suggest all of you out there follow suit. I mean, there's enough little channels on the internet that you can find the fight for. Even if you have to get the international feed, which is usually better, like for this fight, you can find it. looking forward, a lot of people are having discussions, even on my channel or other channels, about what's going to happen. Now I've changed my mind all of a sudden. Not me, the other people. I've changed my mind. I think Mayweather's going to beat Pacquiao now. If he could beat Marquez this easy, and Pacquiao had a life and death struggle with him, he could run ramshot over Pacquiao. Wrong. The fight, the outcome's up in the air. And the thing is that styles make fights. Pacquiao has much better at handling the move up in weight than Marquez has been. Marquez looked very sluggish in his fights at 135, and Pacquiao's looked only better as he's gone up in weight. A couple of other things. Let me dispel this whole thing about Floyd Mayweather Sr. with the Pacquiao and steroids thing. I'm not talking to everybody, but don't the naive people of the world understand that boxers are tested before a fight and after a fight? That's how Fernando Vargas got caught being on steroids when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. They tested him after the fight. They found out he was. But now they've got some super duper fly under the radar type steroids. They're going to make Manny Pacquiao into Superman. That Floyd Mayweather Sr., I saw the interview with him. He sounds like a jackass. Just a real ass clown. And they're grasping at straws. And they're trying to do everything they can to play down what Manny Pacquiao's done. They've got nowhere to go. And they've got nowhere to go, the Mayweather people, because the walls are closing in on them. They've got no fights. Everything that's in front of them is just stark danger. Paul Williams. And I don't want to hear this crap that Paul Williams shouldn't be fighting at 147, which is what some of you are saying. He made his name for himself at 147. He can make the weight. He can make the weight. I don't feel he should be coming into the ring at 168 pounds when he weighs in at 147, but that's a whole different story. Makes 147 on the day of the fight. He should be able to, what do you call it, fight in that division. Paul Williams, Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley, I would have said Vernon Forrest, may he rest in peace, which I've said before would be an awfully difficult fight for Mayweather. But there's 4 guys. The list is going to be narrowed down to 3 at the end of this year. But there's no more looking to fight, any of the Kendall Holtz of the world or the Timothy Bradleys. There's no reason for that. No reason whatsoever for that. No reason to try to get a fight with Michael Katsidis. There's fighters at 147, even Andre Berto. They're all there. Let's settle this once and for all. And as far as going forward with the matchup, with a lot of you now starting to shy away from the fact that Pacquiao might be able to beat Mayweather, let me just put this into perspective for you. All right, the styles make the fights. Mayweather, Marquez, both counterpunchers. Pacquiao's aggressive. Marquez is a counterpuncher. Their styles mesh nicely for both fighters. If you look and you want to compare and make this basis off of the way they both fought against Marquez, fine. If A beats B and B beats C, it doesn't necessarily mean that A is going to beat C automatically. It just doesn't. And also going forward with this theory, and that is, if you look at Mayweather's previous 2 opponents to Marquez and Pacquiao's last 2 opponents, they're both common to each other. One of them had to fight a long, hard 22 rounds, which would be Mayweather. The other fought what was a blowout in 10 rounds over both those 2 guys. Oscar De La Hoya got 1 judge's nod over Mayweather and rounds on the other 2 scorecards. He didn't win a freaking round against Pacquiao. And, Hatton wasn't within 3 or 4 points in the less than 6 minutes that they were in the ring. So, to be honest with you, judging on how they fought those 2 common opponents, it's really not. It's really going to be a fight. And I promised. I think Termite Assassin left a message on my board about that I'm running out of time here. That I would technically break this down. Here's the thing: when fighters go from being showcase fighters to championship fighters to elite status, this is all of them. They all have one thing in common, pretty much. They become very efficient with their punches. And this is why I think Pacquiao has a very good chance of beating Mayweather. The fighter, when you fight Mayweather, the guy who is forced to come forward is going to lose the fight. And it's the same thing with Pacquiao right now. And it's what's going to make the Cotto fight interesting, but if you come rushing at him like Ricky Hatton did, you're going to pay the price. If you come rushing at Mayweather, you're going to pay the price. Ask Marquez. He paid the price. The way that fight's going to, it's not going to be a big super action fight. I'm just telling you that right now. It's going to be a supercharged chess match, very similar to the one between Pernell Whitaker and Buddy McGirt, because both of them were very efficient with their punches. And here's why I'm saying this. You notice that Pacquiao doesn't go crazy throwing punches just all over the place anymore. He's very efficient with them, and he's very deadly accurate now. It's one thing I gotta give kudos to Freddie Roach for. He has made Pacquiao very efficient and deadly accurate. What does this mean going forward? Well, for somebody at the elite level, like a Mayweather or Roy Jones, Pernell Whitaker, whoever, Manny Pacquiao, if another guy is throwing a lot of punches at them and missing or even connecting every so often, every time they throw a punch, they leave an opening. And Alexis Arguello was the master at doing this. He studied a guy and followed his patterns of how he jabbed, how he threw a 1-2, and at a precise moment, when he timed it just right, he would basically exploit that opening and catch him with just a crippling shot. That's what Floyd Mayweather is the master of. That's what Pacquiao is now mastering. That's why he landed both of them landed 69% of their punches in their last fights, against Pacquiao against Hatton, Mayweather against Marquez, because both of them had a guy coming at them, throwing punches, giving them the opportunity to counter with precise power shots. And when the two of them face off against each other, the guy who comes forward, or is made to come forward, is going to lose the fight. Because it's that clear. If Mayweather throws a punch and misses, he's going to be made to pay. And Pacquiao definitely, when he throws a punch and misses, is going to be made to pay. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Floyd's the best defensive fighter ever. His defense is one of the greatest or best that I've seen in a long time. But understand this, he's been hit before. Pacquiao doesn't go just apeshit crazy throwing punches, as we saw against De La Hoya. He'll basically kill somebody, death by 1,000 left hands if need be. And I really think it's going to be a very tough fight to score, and a very tough fight either way, and either guy can win. And that's all I'll say about that. Schedule this week, September 25th in Montreal. Jean Pascal, unless this has been canceled, is defending his WBC light heavyweight title for the first time against former champion Silvio Branco of Italy. I've been very impressed with Pascal in his last two fights. The loss against Carl Frosch, and the stirring win against the Pride of Hungary. Should have it written up there on the board. I don't know why this is what happens when you get old. Anyway, in his last fight, winning the title. I'm going with Pascal by decision in this fight. Maybe even a middle to late round stoppage. I'm not sure. Bronco's pretty tough, but I'm still going with Pascal. Too much skill here. On the 26th, Dublin, Ireland. I think might be on Go Fight. No, the Pascal fight is on GoFightLiveTV.com or something like that. Bernard Dunn defending his WBA regular 122-pound title, regular, against Punsawat Kratingdaijinjin of Thailand. Don't know enough about Kratingdaijinjin, but I'll give Dunn the edge here. Won that title in a stirring come-from-behind victory, and I think that having the home field advantage is going to do wonders for him in this fight. So look for, and Bernard Dunn has got a huge following, look for him to do well. I like the WBA regular title. It's kind of like Miller Lite, Miller High Life, and Miller Genuine Draft, and Miller Genuine Draft 64. The WBA has 3 or 4 titles per division, you know. Chicago on that same night on the 26th. David Diaz, I'm assuming this is his first fight since the Pacquiao bashdown, taking on Jesus Chavez, and this should be an interesting fight. I think that I would normally give the edge to Chavez, but I think Diaz might be just a tad too big and strong for him. Flip of a coin, not picking a winner in this one. I could go either way. David Diaz does have the home court advantage there in Chicago. And then also on HBO and on the 26th from the Staples Center, Vitali Klitschko defending his title against Cristobal Arerrola. A lot of people are very excited about this fight. I'm giving the edge to Klitschko, and I think that over time he's going to break Arerrola down. Arerrola is used to being able to charge forward, bullet guys to the ropes, unload his punches with both hands, outwork them, and basically break them down. I'm wondering what's going to happen when he gets harpooned on the end of Vitali Klitschko's left hand. More importantly, I'm wondering what's going to happen when he catches a right hand when he rushes in, and the uppercut. The thing about this is that Vitali Klitschko looks very anemic at times against guys like Juan Carlos Gomez because he has to go find them. This isn't going to be the case in this fight. He's going to have a very inviting target coming at him. And I really look for him to break apart Cristobal Arerrola. I could be wrong. I mean, sometimes guys grow old overnight, and this could be the right matchup for Arerrola, catching Klitschko at the right time at the right age. But I seriously doubt it from what I've seen them both in the past. I'm going with Klitschko by a middle to late round stoppage. Or it may be quick too, I don't know. And that's going to about do it for this show. Stick with me. Hopefully we'll be back next week to wrap this up. Thanks.